Hi there, Skid Evenstadi, CEO of OneWire. Welcome to Open Door. I always tell people that they should be well-rounded, do other things other than the job they focus on. We'll now meet Jeff Solomon, who's the CEO of Cowen and Company. He came to New York to be an actor. Now he's the head of a major investment bank. He's an incredibly interesting guy. Let's go see what he's up to. Jeffrey, cannot thank you enough for inviting me over. Really appreciate it. Would really like to get a better read on your background, where you grew up, what family life was like, and all that good stuff.
Sure. I mean, I can start with the fact that I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And like many Pittsburghers who no longer live there, we have a strong sense of community, a strong sense of pride from having been exposed to the Pittsburgh work ethic. And so if there's a theme that's carried through my career, it's that, you know, if you put your shoulder into it, you know, you can make great things happen.
And then you decided you wanted to get into the finance arena. What drove that decision?
I'm a big believer that you have to have a big dream. Big dreams are really super important when you're a kid and a young adult, because if you have big dreams, they take you in places where you might not otherwise go. When it came time to making some decisions post-college, I decided that I wanted to go and live in New York because I really was going to be an actor. So my big idea, the big thing that got me here was that I wanted to be an actor, and I wanted to be in New York to be an actor. But I felt like right after college, if I could just do 2 years of good, solid training in something tangible like finance, that I could always be an actor at the age of 24 instead of 22. And if the acting thing didn't work out and I was 26 or 27 or 28, I at least would have had a couple of years of fundamental finance that I could go and do something else with. So I took a job at Lehman Brothers in mergers and acquisitions as a corporate finance analyst.
Okay.
And there I learned, interestingly enough, that the harder you work, the more you get rewarded. But the linchpin for me was midway through my second year, I actually got drafted onto the internal corporate finance team at Shearson. And so they amassed a team internally to really do a top-to-bottom review of the business at Shearson Lehman. And I was on that team. It was a small team. And what I found about that experience is that I actually liked working in a capacity where I was impacting the people around me.
When did you guys merge, you and Ramius and Cowen?
So that was 2009.
Okay.
The end of 2009, we merged.
You have done an exceptional job. What do you attribute to that success?
Early days of the Cowen and Ramius merger and sort of the Cowen remake that I started pretty much in 2010 were all about sitting in people's offices and hearing how they defined winning.
Okay.
And then having my own definition of winning at Cowen be shaped by how the people at Cowen felt they should be winning. Not everybody got what they wanted, but I was able to find a lot of commonality. And I started by making some decisions that I knew that by and large were going to be very culturally reinforcing.
Where do you see Cowen and Company going over the next 10 years?
Well, I like to, I tend to think about things in shorter time periods than that in terms of execution. And I would just say, I think we're living in a world with increased regulation, and that's not going away. We're fortunate at Cowen not to be subject to Dodd-Frank and the Volcker Rule. And we've built our business off of what we think the core function that Wall Street should be providing, and that is the function of the middleman. So good advice that engenders positive results. So I don't know exactly what the business is going to look like. But what I will tell you this is there are 3 basic tenets that we're going to hold ourselves to as we make our strategic decisions. One of them is let's just start with the belief that we believe that the world, the investing world, will always need good investment ideas. I like to call them positive alpha ideas. And we live in a world today where you can get really cheap beta by buying ETFs.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a tactical portfolio asset allocation. But there's still a very important part of the marketplace that requires positive performance over benchmarks.
Right.
And that is where we excel.
Okay.
So as the rest of the street is moving more to a commodity-oriented business that's focused on providing massive amounts of product at cheap prices, we're moving in the other direction, and we're saying we think there will always be room for a premium brand, a Tiffany's brand that provides alpha.
Yeah.
And we provide alpha at Cowen and Company.
What do you look for in people when you're hiring?
So what I encourage young folks to do is to say, I'm going to take the next decade of my life, and I'm really going to find out the thing that makes me tick, the thing that makes me excited, and I'm going to try stuff, and I'm going to, work really hard, but always take the opportunity to look up and say, is it making me happy? Is it not making me happy? Am I getting something out of this? Am I not getting stuff out of this? The three things I think we have at Cowen, to shift for a second, that I think make a great Cowen employee, that I think in some part reflect my belief over what it will take to have a successful organization, are the following. One, you have to have vision. So you have to know how your independent personal franchise can impact our franchise in a positive way. So what is it that you're going to do on a daily basis that's going to move the needle for us at Cowen, and how can Cowen help you to get there faster? Second, tenacity. It may sound obvious, you'd be surprised. Sometimes people work in large organizations, and the organization gives them so much that they lose the edge to create business because it's there for the taking. Well, there's some of that in a lot of industries.
Sure.
At Cowen, you need to figure out how to make it happen here. We'll give you the tools to go out and do it better, but if you don't have the instinct or the capability to go out with the tenacity, then you're probably not going to work here, because that's the thing that propels the organization, is your own individual tenacity on the execution of the vision. The third one is, I think, something special to our organization. And I'm not saying that other organizations don't have it. It's just something that we embrace, and that is empathy. Right? My big thing about what's happened on the street is, somewhere over the last 20 years, people forgot that this is a business about people. And not just, it's the interactions of those people that make the organization. So while we're going out to try to win business, and we define success by revenue growth and serving our clients and all the traditional metrics, it's really important to know that we're only successful if the interactions of our people with one another are empathetic in nature.
So I know you're a Steelers fan.
I'm a huge Steelers fan.
Okay. And what's happening this year? I've got somebody in my office who's a huge Steelers fan. He's comes back a little.
So I'm actually really impressed with the team this year, and I'll tell you, I'm impressed with the leadership. Well, the team rallies and finishes 8-8 and barely misses the playoffs because of a field goal that went wide in a game that they weren't in. So they needed a whole bunch of stuff to happen. The fans are upset because if the field goal got in, we'd be in the playoffs, and there's lots of media that talks about it. But the leadership and the organization, from the Rooneys and from the coach and from the players, is we didn't make the playoffs because we didn't do the things that we needed to do to make the playoffs. That's the sign of a winning organization.
Well, all I can say is I think you've done a great job of that. You've done a great job of running Cowen and Company. Jeff Solomon, CEO of Cowen and Company, cannot thank you enough. Really, really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure, and I look forward to chatting again.
You got it.